He may need more than peak performance. He needs like
Okay,
two
yeah.
boxes.
You know what? There's a variety of people with a variety of needs,
Yeah.
and we can't be all things to all people all
Well,
the
we'll bring a
time.
psychiatrist on the
Yeah,
call
well,
too.
yeah, well, be careful with that too. So, welcome everybody to our Success Mastermind for Friday, the 28th of January, 2022. John Lavenia here with you, and Missy and I were just having a fun little conversation about customers. The public, ladies and gentlemen, we get to deal with the public. Behold, the public. John Apogee, good to see you. Lindsay, Daisy, glad you guys are here. On a fun Friday. I've already dealt with the public today, too. So, Missy, welcome to my world. um, couple things going on today. We have our general session, which of course we're in right now. We're going to wrap up today at 6 p.m. Eastern US time with Be Heard, where you can come here and I'll listen to whatever you want to say to me and questions and ideas. Usually, some good stuff, small crowds usually on that group. But yes, if you want to run anything past me, I'll be here to listen to you at 6 p.m. Eastern. What else? We do have a lot going on behind the scenes right now where I'm looking to get a couple of special events on the calendar. I know we've had a few requests for more of my secret weapon, Shannon, and her brand builder stuff, and she's more of the branding and marketing person. I'm more of the philosophy and sales guy, but we're looking to bring some more of that out. Those of you who have been on her classes with CEO Freedom, she's actually launching another an issue of that, a challenge or some, in fact, I don't know what we're calling it, but something new she hasn't done before. And that's going to be early February. So I'll be sure to announce that as well. What else? I think besides that, it's just fun Friday. Anybody got a joke? Missy, you got to have a joke after telling me, all your gripes about, the public or whatever.
I don't know any jokes. I told you except Abbott Costello. That's all I know.
Okay. Well, I got one for everybody then. All right. So there's this guy who wants to be an actor in theater, right, on Broadway. And so he finally he auditions, right? He finally gets a part. And it's just a little 2-bit part where it's like something where he comes out on stage and he's supposed to say one line. And the line is, "Hark, is that a cannon I hear?" That's his line. Okay. "Hark, is that a cannon I hear?" And so he's so excited. He's finally got a part. And so he goes home and he practices, "Hark, is that a cannon I hear?" Or how about this? "Hark, is that a cannon I hear?" And he's got it, right? And finally, it's his opening night of the play. And it's his time. And he gets out on stage and he hears this loud boom. And he says, "What the hell was that?" Right.
Very well played.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, I was just having a conversation with a customer and one of my consulting things that offers that I work with. And I was reminded about how good we have it. So Missy and I just, having fun. We're talking about, before we went live, we're talking about people who, well, let's just say it like this. They're not as interested as you are. They forget stuff. They don't have their attention where you have your attention. Plus, their attention is diverted by lots of other things, which you may or may not have your attention on. Things like the news or TV shows or kitten videos on YouTube or psychiatric drugs or alcohol or whatever. And so here you are on purpose, getting the job done, attempting to provide service into the marketplace, damn it. And you confront people who don't seem to have it as together as you would like, or as you would like for them to, or as you have for your own standards, right? Your own standard. Other people don't have your standards, in case that wasn't already apparent. Okay, so now just disabuse you of any assumptions you may have had about other people sharing your standards. That being said, because I have exposure to lots of the public, right? I get to talk with lots of different people every day. I get to see not only where people are at right now, but I also, when I get to hear, their stories about where they're at in their life. I get to see what decisions they've made that got them to the point that they're at now, pleasing or not. All right. So I'm not saying, oh, I have judgment about that, or, here I am to accuse or condemn. No, no, I'm very objective. In fact, that's I would say one of my strengths, right? I mean, I could have a conversation with anybody, and they could tell me pretty much anything, and I can confront that. I can listen to that, right? In fact, I've had a lot of training in doing that. So that helps, right? That helps if you could just remain objective. But one of the things that I was reminded of yesterday, and this was after our general session, by the way. So we talked a bit about Wallace Wattles, the summary of the science of getting rich. If you missed it, go back into our archive or on the YouTube channel, and you can get the replay. But he was talking about the consistency and depth of gratitude that we experience, and how that draws us, near to the source of all supply, right? Whereas the person who's in their minds lacking or resentful or envious or griping about whatever, that is creating distance, according to Wattles, right? So as the saying goes, draw nigh unto God and he will draw nigh unto you. Nigh means near. So I was reminded yesterday about how good we actually have it. Okay, now I know each of us, you have your own standards and you have your own level of production. But relatively speaking, like if you had the exposure to more public, okay, and you got to see a cross section of how most people are living, it might enhance your gratitude a bit, or at least your acknowledgement of yourself and your own ability to even have standards. So I experienced that yesterday. I was talking with Shannon, and we have so many projects going on right now. We're spread really thin. The car still isn't parked in the garage. Okay, so officially we're not even moved in. Okay, but the show must go on. So it's nonstop action around here. I know some of you can relate to that sort of transitional lifestyle, no balance, which work I need to stop doing this work so I can do that work so that then I can do the other work, right? So out of balance. And we were thinking about, we kind of slipped in a little bit on well, we haven't gotten that done yet, and that which we need to prioritize. We're gonna have to say no to some stuff. And then I just stopped and I remembered, what? I mean, compared to, let's take, here's Joe Public, right? And he's sitting there waiting, on the dole or something, waiting for, somebody in Washington or London or whatever to do something for him that he's not doing for himself. And I'm thinking, you know what? How much better we have it than that. I mean, just the ability to confront that, just the ability to have some contrast and say, oh, here we are working our asses off. And no, we haven't conquered the universe or anything yet, but I mean, compared to Joe, right? So a bit of gratitude came up. Oh yeah, perspective. That's right. We kick ass. And because we acknowledge that of ourselves, and hopefully each of us here does, okay, guess what happens? Other people acknowledge it too. I just had this text conversation with one of the vendors and the people I work with, who does a lot of behind the scenes working with leads and all this. And unsolicited, I wasn't asking for this, but like they needed some data and I gave them something and they just said, "You are an awesome man." And I replied, "Thanks for noticing." And so that was, again, unsolicited. But when we think about how able we actually are, how good we actually have it, all the assets and pleasing things that we could recognize or take for granted. But when we do recognize them and acknowledge them, guess what happens? Other people acknowledge them too. Obviously, just having a impromptu conversation with somebody via text and thanking them for noticing how awesome I am, that's fun. Okay, that's fun. But I didn't ask for the acknowledgement in the first place. How can we induce this sort of recognition, this sort of acknowledgement, not just for ourselves, but for other people as well? How can we do that? How can we add joy to the world without singing the song? I guess you could sing the song, okay? But how could we, as Waddle said, the impression of increase, right? How could we do that in a fun and lighthearted way that doesn't require you to stretch or get exceedingly creative or anything. But how can we do that in a consistent way that would bring people closer to you because you acknowledge them? Now, we've talked about communication skills here before, and I wrote at length about it, and I've done courses on it. But just the idea of acknowledging somebody else and their communication is incredibly validating. The contrast, the alternative would be ignoring them, which is invalidating. Okay. So I think all of us as sentient beings who are experiencing, life on planet Earth and all that, we all want to feel like we're valid. People seek validation all the time. If you doubt that, go on, Facebook or whatever, which has been a major source of depression for people when they don't get enough likes or something. They don't get enough third-party validation. By the way, you can't deposit likes into your bank account. I guess that's a bridge to, ultimately, if you've got an offer or something, more people know you, that's good. And as Grant Cardone said, best known beats best, right? So get yourself known. That's cool. But people who attach their self-worth to like how many likes they get or something on their social media accounts, right? Obviously that's a bit unhealthy, but it's also evidence that people seek validation all the time. So then how can you show up as a validating kind of a person? I've got this idea in my mind of a video that I want to, that I will be shooting today with one of my business partners. And it's going to be going out to some influential people. And so some of the people who will receive this video, it's a promotional thing. It's fetching a response because we want to get them into a business operation that we're in. But some of the people who will get this video, it's not going to be their first exposure to what we're doing. And so for people like that, Missy, you'll appreciate this. I want to smack them on the side of the head. So, hey, we haven't talked in a year. Last time we showed you this, we were making this much money. Now we're making this much money. You could either call me or maybe I'll hit you again next year and show you, the millions of dollars or whatever, right? Are you a friggin' idiot? That's what I'm thinking. Okay. That's not what I'm going to say because that's a little bit invalidating, right? You catch more flies with sugar or honey or whatever than with vinegar. Lindsay knows, right? John, all of us. How often have you experienced, like if you got here early, what Missy and I were talking about, people that just can't hear you. They can't hear you, right? So we've all got these filters. And so what I've got to do, here's the idea, is that I validate people and meet them at their level based on whatever their filters are to the best of my own perspective, right? If I can understand where they're at. But you, let's say here's John Apogee, right? And he's got this great offer. And he comes to John Lavenia and says, hey, you got to see this, freaking awesome, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, and I kind of, I don't pay the attention that he thinks I should pay to it. Right. Because it's like really freaking awesome. Okay. But I'm busy. Right. And so an acknowledgement of that, an acknowledgement of me, right. He could be, I suppose, patience. Right. That's one thing you could practice. But I think that comes with, if he really wanted to show me his offer, and I'm just making this up as we go. But if he really wanted to show me his offer, then him being consistent in the outflowing of not only promotion and having other people to offer it to besides just one guy, right? You don't want to sit there with my precious one, no, don't do the Gollum thing. Okay. So have a broader reach. Okay. But also be steadfast and consistent. And in other words, have staying power. So here's the thing that I could cite for much of my success. Despite the roller coaster, the ups and downs of life and business and whatever, here are the principles upon which I build. I build on rock. And then when those filters change out there, when Joe Public suddenly has all this attention to put on, this thing, which was right under his nose all along, because I put it there, right? But when he finally has a higher necessity level or some open-mindedness or something, and like that communication can actually get through, well, the rock is still here. Here's the problem for a lot of people is they buy into a lot of opportunities, offers, methods, businesses, whatever. You see this all the time in the MLM space, right? So here's the magic jungle juice, and it's the greatest stuff in the world. And then 90 days, 6 months later, well, that's terrible. Now here's the best thing in the world, right? And oh, what business are you doing this week, right? Everybody knows somebody like that, right? These entrepreneurial junkies. But if they got solid, if they got stable with something, well, then that would be a known quantity or a known quality, right? We could say, oh, I know who that person is. They are among the best at that. They are committed to that. Now, think of it like this: whether you're buying a product from somebody, or participating in a business, or partnering, or whatever, wouldn't you want to work with someone who's committed? Like, what to expect from them? I remember when I was in Diesel College, I had a problem with attendance. I was very good at the actual work, okay? But I was also a bit of a slack ass when it came to showing up on time. This was long before I wrote integrity is everything, by the way. Okay, this is when I was late for everything, which in hindsight was terribly disrespectful. But here I was showing up late for class and acing the test, but still showing up late for class. And one instructor said to me, you know what, John, if I was hiring mechanics, right, I would rather have a good mechanic who showed up every day than a great mechanic who I wasn't quite sure. That had an impact on me. So like being, dominating because of my superior intellect or ability or something, maybe a little bit of, humility, understanding that this isn't just the John show or something. Like, you got to participate with others, it's called cooperation. There were Sesame Street episodes about that with Muppets and stuff. They cooperated. Yeah. You guys remember that? There was the one Muppet who was really tall, but his arms were up in the air like this. He couldn't bend his arms. And there was the other Muppet who could move his arms, but he was really short. And there was nectarines in the tree. You guys remember this, the nectarine episode? It was freaking spectacular, right? And so the one guy couldn't reach the nectarines. The other guy could reach them, but couldn't put them in his own mouth because he can't bend his arms. So they cooperated, you see. And the tall one, he knocked the nectarines out of the tree. And the little one, take a bite and give you a bite. He held it up, and the tall guy got a bite. Cooperation, boys and girls. Friggin' breakthrough concept, okay? Apparently that had an impact on me too. I still remember that Sesame Street episode. It's been 50 years. The point that I think I'm making, hopefully I'm making a point. The point is that as good as we have it, and hopefully you do, as good as we have it, others who aren't as conscious as you, let's say, could also use some validation. In other words, part of the way that you can cooperate, part of the way that I can cooperate with other people, is to impress them with increase, help them know that they're valid, that they're not alone, that someone other than them also has their best interest. This will make you a lot of money, by the way. Right. I mean, a lot of times people look at I don't know, I want to sell, or, convincing people and persuasion or whatever. Freaking persuade them. I mean, if you know that what you've got is good and right, it's your moral obligation to get it sold. Right. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it. So in conclusion, your opportunity for today, this weekend, the rest of your life, your opportunity is to see how you can cooperate with people who may not be as conscious of you, and leave them a little bit better off than you found them. You don't have to assert your greatness or anything like that, okay? But just the idea of going into every interaction with, of course, goodwill, okay, seeking to do more good for more people, right, and not harm people. That's pretty standard, I think, at least in this group. So you go into any encounter with goodwill, and find how that lifts other people up. And of course, comes back to you. You don't have to account for the coming back to you part. Just impress people with increase. Like Waddle said, right? The advancing man, the advancing woman, you're about advancement. You're built on rock. I know that when I do business with you, I'm advancing in life. We may not have those words, but I know it regardless, subconsciously. That attracts people to us. And yeah, then no matter how many likes you're getting on Facebook or whatever, you're already good. You're already validated. Hey, I'm good, right? How can I help you? Right? How can I put my attention on you? I just had this conversation with a customer, and within 2 seconds of having me on the phone, they knew who they were talking to. And I'm saying that just because I can hear, having done what I've done for so long, I can hear emotions, I can hear between the lines, I can hear physiology. I pick up a lot. Words are like 7% of it. But I could hear that I had gained this person's respect that fast. A lot of that's unspoken. But when you think about, if you're chasing a customer around, or if you're, banging your head into the wall, trying to force a square peg into a round hole or whatever, I think the answer for that is to be solid with your position in all this. And then, of course, as necessary, expand your reach into more people. This customer, by the way, didn't buy. They didn't have the ability to buy. Okay. But they're, assuming they survive, a little while longer, right? They're still a potential customer, and they friggin' love me, right? Because why? Because I have their best interest in mind. I hope this doesn't sound like a boast. I'm just giving you what's coming up for me, in present time, okay? And how we can cooperate and induce others to cooperate. Okay, there's plenty of things that I need a lot of work on. Okay, but the idea of communicating value to others simply by validating them. Interesting play on words there. Value and validation, two different things, but they kind of go together. Anyway, I hope you got something out of this. I had no idea what was going to come out of my mouth until I heard it. If you guys got some thoughts, feel free, please. We got a small crew today. Lindsay, John, Edward, Daisy, Missy, you've got the floor.
First of all, you are an awesome man. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you for noticing.
Your footprints in the sand. You can laugh. Your footprints are in the sand, and they're going to be there long after you are dust, which hopefully won't be for another 500 years. But yesterday, I want to thank you for yesterday. I was late, but you did the Wallace Waddles, and it's because I was late. I caught the last page, and it occurred to me, if this phone rings, I'm going to kill somebody. Leave me alone.
Terroristic threats allowed.
It's my cousin. No. Tom, I got to talk to you later. I'm sorry. I'm in a meeting.
Oh my God.
Okay. I hope he's not stranded. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to call him right back. So I had the first three, he's got conclusions and the fixity of purpose and all the vision. And I have gratitude, but here's my gratitude, like neutral. I've always thanking God, thank you, God, is neutral. And it came to me this morning, I don't have the depth of gratitude. I spend time in bed doing my gratitude without depth. And I feel like you are some kind of a gastroenterological unconstipator. So I don't know what you did, but you pulled something out of me. No, and I think it's really important because I think there's been some kind of a blockage. And then I was telling Lindsay and I did this meditation today, and I felt, it was only 5 minutes, I felt my spirit trying to come out my head, and it couldn't get out all the way. But so that's one part. So please indulge me for the second part. There's this lady who's bought 5 mugs from me, and then she started asking, because I have it on the thing, you can ask for custom. So she started asking me for custom, but she was very demanding. I don't like that color. I don't like that font. So I had to keep making it over and over and over and over and over. And she was starting to annoy me. And then she let me know. I said, well, and I gave her a discount. So then she goes again. She goes, I want another one, and I want a discount, and I want this, I want that. I said, I can't give you a discount anymore because it's custom. and it seemed to upset her. And she went away and she came back and she said, my husband left me alone. She sounds older. 5 months ago, I haven't been able to leave the house. I have all these phobias. So I started talking to her and I said, listen, she's got a psychiatrist, a psychologist, but she can't get to the doctor. I said, listen, a lab will come to you to do blood work. You could do a televisit. And I said, listen to me. She's a Catholic, traditional Catholic. I said, go to your door, put your toe out, say a prayer to St. Michael for protection, do it for 10 seconds, come back in. The first day she didn't do it. She wrote to me today. She said, I did it. I put my toe out. I said the prayer and you got me out the door. And I'm talking to all these psychiatrists and they couldn't get, I said, okay, now you're going to do 15 seconds and you're going to take the garbage. She's just taking the garbage out. I mean, I don't know what she's doing, but I can't spend all my time. I'm not a doctor helping her, but she asked me for my number. So I gave it to her, but I'm not doing it to leave an impression. I'm doing it because I'm trying to help her, but I seem to attract a lot of these people, but, and I'm praying for her, but because I said, listen to me, just do this. And she went and she did it. So, I guess and then she went and left me 3 more reviews on the same mug. I'm like, you don't have to keep leaving reviews. It's okay.
Oh, maybe she's going to leave you the inheritance as well, right? So, right. I mean, we just read a Neville book, right? I talked to the guy 20 years ago. Next thing you know, the dead brother, and here's 50 grand. Oh, okay. Wow. So I don't know. Now, what I do know is that you've also got you've got your own things to handle. This isn't Missy's free, talk therapy line or anything. Maybe put in one of those 900 numbers and dial a friend or something. But it sounds like you did some good there, and yeah, you got some acknowledgement. But isn't it also interesting, everybody, that Missy, and this, you're not unique in this way, but you've attracted a few people on the fringe here lately. At least, I don't know. What did James Allen say? You don't get what you want, you get who you are.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But okay, I will tell you this: people who get to know you and are attracted to you because of your intention, because of your good-heartedness. Right. And so that's what you seem to be attracting. Okay. Via, here's Missy, the, Soulless Design Studios coffee cup lady. Nice. Okay. But if that turns into, I mean, look, you're also selling coaching services now, not in terms of, spiritual guidance or whatever, although why
Nobody's
not?
coming. That's all
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
My cousin feels the same way when I call him back.
Okay, great.
But
Great. And thank you for keeping her out of the psychiatrist's office, because, what are they going to do? Give her more drugs and she can go be crazier, right? Oh, my goodness. So thank you, Missy. Interesting story. Not sure what else to say about it, but it's always interesting when Missy's here, isn't it, guys? Like, Missy is an interesting person to get to know. This is one of the hidden benefits of being a member here. You get to hang around with people like that. Thank you, my friend. Who else has some thoughts on this whole idea of impressing people with increase, validating others, cooperating? John Apogee, I was thinking of you, buddy.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good. That's always my answer. Excuse me. So, quick story. I was always very shy. And I was like, in groups, I was always referred to as like the bobcat, and the fact that I would be in the background, kind of stealthy, and then I would pounce when it was time.
Mm-hmm.
But in party situations and stuff, I was always the wallflower. And then my wife said, she was kind of like, you need to work on that. And so I started making an effort of talking to people and smiling at people and saying hi. And it got to the point that we'd be walking down the street and I'd see people and I'd smile and go, hi. And my wife would go, do you know them? I'm like, no, I'm just saying hi. So I kind of went that extra step. And I've even taken it further where I go in, because you were talking about this earlier, how to make somebody's day better. I'm always going in and talking to people and it's like, how are you doing? Great. and it's always like, I'm great. You should have a great day. Always trying to be very positive and upbeat and happy. And I always try to have my interactions with people that way so that I leave them in a better mood. That's my goal. And so that's something I've adopted, and it kind of came out of this group because it was something you said at one point in time about how you answer things. And it was like, how you doing? I'm not doing good. I'm doing great. And I was kind of like, I took that to heart, and it's like, I really upped my attitude towards things, and everything I do is like, it's great. And it's like, it's great to be here. It's great to see you. Have a great day. It's like, it's not that I overuse that word. It's just, that's the feeling I want to convey to everybody that I meet.
Beautiful. Beautiful. There was something that I had shared, John, with respect to that, where people would say, how are you? I'd say, oh, I'm healthy, rich, and grateful. Thanks. How are you? Right. So,
Yeah.
so just being conscious of that response, and which is affirmative and a great reminder. Right. So, but it does like, wake people up a little bit when they actually get a conscious response to that, very knee jerk, kind of a question. Thank you, brother. Glad you're here. So good to see you again, hanging around with us live and in person. We gotta have to do a race together, John. I'm a drag racing fan.
But you keep moving further away, so I don't know how to do this.
Planes fly, and all that. Yeah. So actually I got to be in Texas next month, and then Hawaii the month after that. But I am definitely going to get to Gator Nationals. I think I mentioned that. I've never done four lanes, so we'll see how that goes. All right, brother. You look great. Lindsay is up. Hey, Lindsay, right up the street in Alabama.
Not too far.
Yeah.
But yeah, see, my default was always, how are you? I'm good. And then I've tried to be really conscious about thinking that through. But I was going to say, I just made my son increased his, how'd you put that? Made him feel special. He said, do you want to come check me out? I was like, I can't right now, but in an hour I might can. So he's happy. But that interrupted me, but I had another point to make with that, but I can't think of it right now. So I can come back to me, I guess.
All right.
I don't remember.
Very good. Very good. Well, you're someone who also in my experience of you has been inviting and validating, right? I've never heard you. I don't think you have a mean bone in your body. I mean, you're pretty nice. So yeah.
Nice. I am. I try to be, but I try not to complain about anything. But my sister can really push me to where. Yeah.
Okay.
I tried to make her feel value, as she calls it. Had and bitched yesterday, all day, and this morning too. So I'm trying to not let. She's my sister. I have to deal with her. I mean, I don't have to, but I want her to be in a better place in her mind.
Okay.
That it's like, I'd rather deal with my teenagers than this. So, yeah.
Well, one thing that you could do to help people get back to like being on purpose and in present time is to give them problems to solve. Hey, I need your help with something. So something like that might be, which is also validating, right? Hey, I need your advice. Oh, they want my advice, right? So I don't know, if maybe you can kind of, derail that whole conversation and put it on a different track, but that would be
a good way to do that.
Yeah. I mean, think about like depressed, miserable people sitting around with no purpose and bored, right? Give them work, give them problems. You guys remember, John's got his hand up again. We'll get John out here. You guys remember the Robert Downey Jr., where he enacted Sherlock Holmes. It was the Sherlock Holmes movie. Was it Jude Law played Watson? I thought it was great. It was spectacular production. It was the first time, and Wayne would know more about this than me, the first time that these super fast cameras were used in a full like Hollywood production. So when, the punch was thrown, you could see like every little detail in slow motion because the cameras were running so fast on this stuff. So they could slow it down really slow. Anyway, Sherlock Holmes, great movie. And, but at one point, pretty early in the movie, Watson comes into Sherlock's abode, and he's sitting there, and he's surrounded with garbage, and he's doing experiments, and it's all dark. All his windows are drawn, right? And Watson is like, what, get up. What's going on with you? And Sherlock Holmes, the Robert Downey Jr. character, said, I need, give me work, give me problems, right? He's sitting there just twiddling with stuff, miserable. John Apogee, your thoughts?
Oh, I was just going to make a comment to Lindsay. Don't worry about forgetting things. They say memory's the third thing to go. I can't remember the first two.
Right. Good point. That's a very good point.
Thank you, John. Yeah, I remember being on the range with one of the range masters. This is over at Front Sight, and he said, "Guys, if you if you need to tell me something, speak up really loud because I've got CHS. That means can't hear shit. And if you need to tell me again, do that because I also got CRS. Can't remember." All right, guys. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts today? All right. Well, I'm going to be back here with you at 6 p.m. for anyone who wants to tune in, have a little conversation. We had a nice little 20 minutes or so together last week with some thoughts that came up. I will look forward to seeing you all for another great week next week. In the meantime, let's go and let's do some good, right? And let's impress people with increase, because if not you, then who? So anyway, thank you guys. We'll see you again real soon.